Welcome to Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. We know it's election time, and we hear about the big guys. We hear about the people running for president. You probably hear about the U.S. Senate race sometimes too, because I see a lot of commercials on TV. But you know what? This election is just not about the big guys. Those running for president, those running for U.S. Senate, those even running for U.S. Congress. We have all of our state legislators up and also a lot of local races. Today, we have invited the Bernalillo County Treasurer Candidates to be on our program, as we had invited a lot of other candidates. We have to give equal time, and those who accept our invitations are going to be in our studio, and you'll see and you'll meet them. Today, our guest who has accepted the invitation is Lelan Morrison. He is running for Bernalillo County Treasurer as a Republican, and when we come back after the break, we're going to meet Lelan and find out why is he running for treasurer and how these local races actually affect your life, perhaps even more so than the big races and the big guys. We'll be back with Lelan Morrison right after this. Stay with us, please. You know, it's all up to you and it's all up to me. If we vote, then we have a say in the matter. If we don't vote, then we can't really even complain. I mean, we still complain, but then again, we really have no right to complain. A lot of these local races are important to our everyday life, and one of those is the Bernalillo County Treasurer's office and how that affects our life. We're going to meet right now Lelan Morrison, who is a Republican running for that office. And welcome to the program, Lelan, and thank you for throwing your hat into the ring.
Yeah, thank you, Diane, for having me.
So we were talking off camera a little bit. Why the heck are you running for Bernalillo County Treasurer? It's a tough road to hoe. I mean, you're a Republican.
Right.
Is a tough position to be a Republican in this Democratic state to run. So, but you're doing it. And
right.
Why?
Well, I've looked at the evidence of the policies that the legislatures have been passing down for the past 30 years, and this progressive Democrat society that's run our state for, like I said, for 30 years. And the evidence is we have a poor education system. We're ranked last in the nation. We have high crime. We have the poorest population in the nation. We have the lowest per capita income, but yet we're the third richest state in the union. So there's something wrong with this picture. And I've never been a politician, but I figured it was time to get involved. Like you just said, if you're not going to do something about it, quit complaining about it. So that's why I'm.
Well, we still complain, but we're not doing anything about it. That's why I said also it's up to the voters. If they want us to continue the way that we've been in the state for 30, 40, 50 years, then continue voting that. That's their choice. It's their choice. It's our choice. Right. And again, we're lagging and last in most everything.
Right. But
except taxes. We're pretty high in taxes.
But I think people just, they just don't know. They just don't know. Like, for example, like I said, I'm running for Bernalillo County Treasurer, and it's never been the responsibility of the government to confiscate people's property because their property didn't pay their property taxes for a year or two. They got behind because they're struggling, and that's what I want to help with, and that's going to go ahead.
So is this happening? Tell me.
Well, yeah, it happens. People, if they get behind, then their property gets put up on the auction block, and they get bills and they get fines and penalties and puts them farther behind. I mean, we've got.
But Lelan, as a candidate, have you heard, candidate for Bernalillo County Treasurer, have you heard that this is actually happening?
Well, I've seen it happen because at one point, I mean, there's people out there that actually watch the auctions to go buy, distressed properties or properties, like I said, they're up for their property taxes, up for sale, to flip them. People that flip houses and things like that. It happens. So I actually was going to do that at one time. I've been running business for 40 years, and that was one of the things I'd looked into at one time. I didn't follow through with that, but so I know that it happens.
So they're out there. These distressed properties, people aren't able to keep up, pay their property taxes. And why do you think that is, Lelan? I mean, I know why, but what do you tell us why? What
today, I mean, it's our economy, and it's just going to get worse. I mean, consumers are out of money right now. They've lived off their credit cards. They've mortgage their second mortgage on their house, and because of increasing inflation that we have, and fuel prices at the, I mean, not fuel prices, but grocery prices at the grocery store, we know people are struggling. We're struggling. I mean, I see it. I feel it, you know, and we're going to feel it even more because here's another thing. I know we were talking about this off camera, that the policies that progressive Democrats push, I don't know if I have time for this, but they passed another Fuel Standard Act, and it's going to increase the fuel price $1 a gallon at the fuel pump, which is going to make it even harder for people to pay their property taxes, which they increase at the maximum limit every year. Why do they do that? I don't think that's right. And so I need to do what I can to bring this back in control of the people, not the government. I mean,
Are you retired right now, Lelan?
no, I still run 2 businesses right now. I don't really have time for this job, but I decided that I have to get in. I have to make time. I'm probably going to have to give up one of my businesses to come out if I win, to do this job. But it's that important.
But
We're at
it's
a
not just-
crossroads.
How would the state, the Bernalillo County Treasurer's Office affect our taxes, affect things? Just so you have a voice in government then to be able to shout out and say what's going on?
Well,
I mean, we all know what's going on, but you're saying a lot of people are not paying attention to what's
Well, the
going on.
Treasurer's Department is not a policy-making position, it's an enforcement position, so I can help that way, but every gear in the cog of government is important. I mean, my opponent has already spent $50,000 on this race to secure this position, so it's important to them. So
What are you
it's
saying on the what are you saying to people on the campaign trail? What are you telling folks, and what are they telling you, Lelan?
Well, it's mostly the overall agenda of progressive Democrat policies that are running the state. As one position, as one office, I'm not going to change the problems of people out there. It's going to take a concerted effort to flip this state and change, go the opposite direction we're going. Because, like I said, the facts speak for themselves. We've got 2 + 2 = 4, right? Policy, high crime, worse education. Doesn't that say something that we need to change? I get kind of passionate about this, yeah. So anyway, that's so the Bernalillo County Treasurer by itself is not going to change the state, but it is one gear in the cog of gears that manage this state. So there you go. That's it.
What are business people telling you?
Business people? Well,
People that you deal with.
Well, they're really tired of high property taxes. Like I said, they've raised it. If you're a property owner, you know that they raise the property taxes by the maximum limit allowed by law almost every year, even in a down economy. That is the government just reaching further and further into our pocket. When are we gonna, how much longer can we afford that? Anyway,
Well,
I'm trying to do what I can.
We have the oil and gas industry that's giving new money, billions and billions of dollars back to the state. Billions of dollars.
Boy, don't get me started on that.
Okay.
Because, no, I will, because we get enough revenue from oil and gas to run the entire state, and even if we did away with the income tax and the sales tax, we still have enough money to fund the entire state. You know, Alaska and Texas don't have an income tax because they have the permanent fund, just like we do. We're the 3rd richest state in the nation. But yet they're going to
When you say that, it's because of our oil and gas.
our oil and gas and our minerals that we have. We're a very rich state, but we're a poor population. There's something wrong with that picture. I wish people would see that, you know, we have to change.
A lot of people do, but you
Yeah.
feel a lot of people don't, and it appears they don't because...
Like I talked to somebody just the other day, and they agreed with we were talking, just discussing. They didn't know what party affiliation each of us had. And she said, "Oh, I'll vote for you." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm on the Republican ticket." "Oh, I can't do that. I'm a Democrat." It's not about the party. It's about the policies that we have. We have to change. We have to be able to vote different. And Republicans need to get out and vote. We lost, because we're trying to turn the state around. It's not just because we're opposed to Democrats because that's the opposing football team. It's because their policies are running this state. Anyway, I don't know what else to say on that.
What Lelan Morrison, Republican running for the Bernalillo County Treasurer's Office, what does the treasurer do? What does the office do? I know I write checks to the Bernalillo County Treasurer for property taxes.
Yeah, the treasurer is responsible to collect property taxes, go after people who are delinquent, which is how I want to help out. Some people are just struggling and they need help with that. I don't know what negotiating ability they have or reduction in their property tax to help people out that are struggling, but I'll find out. I want to do that if possible. So anyway, you collect the bills, you invest the money, and you try to have that money available for the different projects that for roads and other bonds that are that have been bills that have been passed or projects that they're having. You have to have that money available at a certain time. So you're trying to get the best interest on that money as you can in the meantime while it's waiting to be spent on different projects.
Does the Bernalillo County Treasurer actually have that authority to do the actual investing, or do you take it from the executive? Or
well, there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors, right? And so he has a lot of there's counselors out there and investment people that you consult with, but yes, he can direct it to where it's being invested, and you just try to get the maximum that you can. Right.
I read online that you said you'd like to, oh, no surprise to us, manage conservatively. What do you mean by that?
Well, they've opened up, they expanded the range of investments that a treasurer can do to include what they call ESG companies, and that's a mandate pushed down by the United Nations, and it stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. And so it's to invest in companies that have, it's an ESG credit score that they have for companies, and it's pushing money to companies that fall in line with climate control, social agendas, and governance. Like, for example, they passed a bill to say that 42% of all vehicles in New Mexico have to be electric by 2026, the ones that are sold.
In 2 years.
That's in 2 years,
okay.
And that's governance, that part of it. But they're pushing climate control and social agendas, like in schools, for example, kids are transitioning. It's a $5,000 fine if the teacher tells the parents that their kid wants to transition and that the school's helping them transition.
You mean transition into a different
sex? Yeah, well, they're not just transitioning from male to female.
Male to female.
Well, they can't tell the parents that. That's crazy.
I didn't realize there's a fine for teachers.
Yeah, there's a fine for that.
Are you sure about that?
Well, okay.
Maybe everybody knows but me.
Okay, well, I haven't read that, but that's, we were discussing this with a group of people, and we had a speaker come, and they said that.
Okay.
So I'm taking him at his word.
Okay,
yeah,
but that's happening.
On that, yeah, that there's a fine for that.
So the treasurer's office, again, invests the money and spends it. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, they've opened it up for companies, and the way they're pushing this agenda nationwide and all that is to allow different treasurers to push all this money into ESG companies and invest with them. That's done through BlackRock and Morgan Stanley and all that, and they've told companies, if you're on board, you have a good credit score, you get capital. If you don't, we're cutting the funds off to you. And that's so conservative companies are getting funds cut off to them from, yes.
The treasurers.
Well, from investment group, huge. I mean, BlackRock controls like so many trillions of dollars. I mean, so it's a big deal. They can ruin or make your business by cutting off your capital supply.
And you're saying there's a wave going across the country that treasurers are now becoming
allowed to invest in those. If you're pushing that agenda like New Mexico Democrats are, they're all on board with this ESG agenda, and so now they've accessed public funds for this agenda, this ESG agenda. They've accessed by allowing treasurers to invest in those companies. Some states have already passed, conservative states have already passed laws to not allow treasurers to invest in ESG companies. So.
How did you become aware of all this, Lelan?
I just read a lot and, go to meetings, talk to people, yeah.
Do you think the public's aware of this agenda?
No, I don't think so, not as a whole, no. That's why they have people come in and speak to groups, and try to make them aware, and so.
Are you speaking to groups? What are you doing on the campaign trail?
Well, I did have a radio interview. I'm speaking to the FRW women here coming in August, and it's just coming on your program, things like that.
Are you going door to door to talk to people, or what else?
I don't really have time to go door to door, just one at a time. Bernalillo County has a third of all the voters in the state of New Mexico, and I just don't have time to go door to door. So no, I'm not. But as a group, Republicans are trying to get this message out and try to make people aware. I just hope that people will open their eyes and see what's going on. And we only lost, Republicans need to get out and vote. We only lost several seats in the legislature last time by less than 200 votes. If we just get out and vote, we can make a difference.
Tell me a little bit about your feelings on the Clean Fuel Standard Act. That's something else that...
Well, that's what's going to, the Clean Fuel Standard Act is it's going to raise our price at the fuel pump by as much as $1. They took this bill from California and Washington, put New Mexico on it, and are trying to pass it. And that's
so it's California, Washington,
and Oregon have all passed a similar bill. They've just taken the name off of one state and put the name of another state on it and ran it through the legislature. We didn't come up with this ourselves up there. And it's all about buying and selling carbon credits. It's going to raise the fuel tax by only 10 cents a gallon, which is not very much, but the buying and selling of the carbon credits, like the oil industry has a big carbon footprint. And so they're going to get very few carbon credits. Home Depot doesn't have a big carbon footprint, so they're going to get they're going to be issued a lot of carbon credits. Oil and gas now has to buy those carbon credits from somebody who doesn't need them to offset their carbon footprint. Well, they're just going to pass that money, that cost right on at the fuel pump. That's what's raising the price.
And we're following the lead of California, Oregon, and I thought those people were moving all here. They were moving out of California. I know they're moving to Denver. I know they're moving to Montana. And I think they're moving here out of California because they didn't like some of these standards.
So connect the dots. Why do we continue to vote these type of representatives into office? We have got to. Republicans haven't had a chance to implement their policies for 50 years, 80 years. Democrats have managed and run this state, and they've managed to run it into the ground. I mean, like I said, we have the worst education system in the nation.
People oftentimes point out, Leland, you probably know this, on this program they've pointed out that back in, I'm not sure the year, the turn of the century, 1900s, Phoenix, Arizona, and New Mexico had similar populations, 100 and so years ago. We're still at about 2 million, and they're at, what, 5 million, 6 million?
Right.
Why the difference in the growth?
That I'm not sure. We don't really have the water for that kind of growth either, but I've actually always enjoyed, I'm sorry, but I've actually always enjoyed being in the fourth largest state in the nation with only 2 million people, because we have so much wonderful culture and outdoor activity, and you can, so.
But oftentimes they're saying people don't move here because of the policies. So maybe that's why people are voting for these policies, to keep people from enjoying our state. That could be a possibility.
Maybe. We do have a very bad business climate. That's the big...
But if we had a better business climate, more businesses would move in and more people, so maybe that's why people are voting for the bad policies to keep people out.
All right. So I'm not a... We do need a better business climate. I know that, but it needs to be... We need to have higher paying jobs, that's what brings in better business, is lower taxes, better paying jobs. I know the governor just been courting the Chinese to build a huge solar facility out here, but I'm always suspect of the Chinese. One of the big companies that's been in the news recently that they have on big glass company that they have has multiple OSHA infractions and been accused of money laundering. So I'm always kind of suspect of the Chinese government investing in our country. They're the they're the fourth largest or fifth largest landowner in the United States. So there's multiple agendas going on out here. Sorry.
No,
I'm kind of digressing, but about the Treasury Department. But to me, like I said, it's all blended and mixed together. What's going on? And I'm trying to do my part.
You want to do your part
right.
for a change. That's why you're running.
Right.
It's an effort to do that, and it's an expense to do that.
Right.
And that's why you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. Well, another reason is we've gotten so far away from our moral foundation in this country. We need. I am a man of faith. And, well, we've gotten so far away from where we need to be that we just need to get back on track.
What do you think we need to do to get back on track, Lelan Morrison?
Well, we need to deal righteously with our laws and the people that we're being governed, the direction we're going. To be known as the late-term capital abortion capital of the world, is that what we want? And those have spiritual consequences too. So, things like that.
This is a chance to say what you have on your mind. You're running for an office.
Yeah.
KCHF TV, this program invited you.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to share your feelings, which you're doing, and I congratulate you on that. But anything else? We have a few minutes to go. What else would you like to share? Lay it all out there, Lelan Morrison.
Well, I think we pretty much said where I'm coming from. I don't know, Diane, do you have any more questions? Sorry, I've said what I've said. I've said where I come from. I was born in. I was raised in Clovis, and we were farmers and ranchers, and I have a very conservative background.
What does conservative mean to you? Being conservative, what does that mean?
Well, it means looking out. Looking out for other people first, doing the right thing, not expecting somebody else to pay for my problems and whatever I'm doing. It means hard work and
not looking for government to solve your problems.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I think that just goes unsaid, but I don't think that. It sometimes just needs to be said. Sometimes we need to hear things that we know.
We know.
Yeah, but we need to hear it said, sometimes again and again. That's why we.
Well, just ask what your thought was about being you're going to conservative and manage conservatively, but what that meant to you.
Well, that means not taking big risks with money that's not mine. It's the people's money. It means not spending it on wasteful projects. It means using common sense, when you're doing that. And it's not that complicated. It's fairly simple.
But for those who don't know, those who, since COVID, are used to the government kind of giving them money, bailing them out, but little do they know that the money is coming from someone else who's paying for that. It's not from government. We are the government. We, in this country,
Right.
we pay for the government.
Right. We're the people. Yes. Yeah. The government doesn't have any money unless they take it out of your and my pocket. So and people are well aware of the wasteful spending that goes on, and that's one of the aspects of the Treasurer's Department is, I think, to point out wasteful spending. They have to report to the city councilors, periodically, and
Seems like a lot of wasteful spending.
There's a lot of wasteful spending.
And I wonder if there's enough accountability of how the money, again, it's our money that we give to government to decide, but we vote for the government. And they're our representatives. And if we don't like how they spend the money, we have a choice. You're giving us a choice. And,
Well, I hope, that's what I want to do. Like I said, I'm not a career politician. I've been running a business for 40 years, and I've had to run them on just that. If it doesn't make sense, if it don't spend the money there, you know, cut here, find a different avenue
What are your
to get the
businesses?
job done.
What are your businesses, Lelan?
Well, my first one was when I was 19 years old. My dad helped me get a custom harvester, and I custom harvested for farmers, you know, for several years. And then I had an automotive industry. I had an environmental company. I've built a couple up and sold them, and I've had a couple that just made a living at. But currently, I have a trucking industry company and a wholesale tire shop supply company. So I understand where the economy's going with the trucking, because we've seen the freight fall off these last 3 years. Rates are down. The amount of freight moving. I can tell the pulse of the economy by my trucking company, and it's tough out there.
It's
right
down.
now. Yeah, it's down.
It's down.
Yeah.
Thank you. You depressed us all.
No, we can turn this around.
Okay.
No,
There's a
there's still
choice.
hope. But we have to get the right people. We have to get the right people in there that really care about this. And I will tell you that when I've met with other candidates from the Republicans Party, the first thing we do, we pray and we say the Pledge of Allegiance. So.
Thank you. Thanks for that. That does give us hope.
Yeah.
And you, as a choice, are giving people a choice and hope with a choice. Thank you, Lelan Morrison, for throwing your hat in the ring for Bernalillo County Treasurer.
Okay.
It's an effort, and you're doing your part, and we need to do our part. And here at KCHF TV, the station does its part by offering you programs to give you this information. We appreciate the station for doing that. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great week. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.